Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Dillard coming to you with another episode of Teen Talk Live. This is our first episode for 2018. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited for today's session. Today, we are joined by a special guest, somebody who's very important to me. And this person is none other than one of my mentees, one of my first real mentees, and that's Miss Shadoww Rolan. Shadoww, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
I'm so glad you're able to join us tonight and to be my guest, taking the opportunity to be my guest on Teen Talk Live. And just so that our listeners know, again, this is Dillard with Teen Talk Live, and this month, January, is National Mentoring Month. And so my theme for January is Mentoring Matters. And a lot of times we as adults don't necessarily understand the power of mentoring. And so tonight, we're going to delve into that topic of mentoring. Hi, Renee. I'm so glad you joined us. We're talking about mentoring tonight, and I have one of my first mentees or official mentees here with me, and this is Miss Shadoww that's joining us. Nicole, I'm so glad you're here. Say hi. I'm glad you're here with us. So I want you all to engage in this conversation with us. It might be a little emotional for me. I'm going to try to get through because, again, Shadoww is a very important part of my life, has been a very important part of my life. And I'm so grateful for her. And I'm so proud and excited about the things that she's accomplished. And we'll get into that. All right, Shadoww, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Miss Ann. Very good. Very good. Happy New Year to everybody out there.
Yes.
It has started out great.
Miss Nicole say, hey, Shadoww. Hey, Miss Nicole. I'm so glad you're here. So, Shadoww, let's go back to when we first met. Girl, what a meeting we had.
Yes. I was terrible.
No, you weren't terrible.
I can admit that now. I was terrible. Super terrible.
Look, I wouldn't say you were terrible, but can you remember our first real interaction? Do you remember when that happened?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So Joseph say, hey, Shadoww, Happy New Year. Hey,
Happy
Cassie,
New Year.
I'm glad you're here. So let me go back and share how Miss Shadoww and I met. I was one of the women leaders for the Girls in Action program at Patrick Henry High School in Minneapolis.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, Shadoww, I don't remember if you were a sophomore. You might have been a sophomore.
I think I was a sophomore or freshman.
Because shortly after, no, you were a freshman.
I think I was a freshman.
And then shortly after, you introduced us to Michelle and Michelle. So that would have been the following year.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyways, Shadoww, we were having this assembly in the gym. So this was the beginning of the school year, and Girls in Action is having this kickoff assembly. And towards the end of the assembly, I don't know what happened, but Shadoww threw this water bottle across the auditorium. And she was so mad. She walked out of the auditorium. Yes. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
I was.
That was our introduction. And Dr. Verna, who is the founder and CEO of Girls in Action, Dr. Verna was there at the assembly because this is a kickoff assembly. We are all rah. All the women were there. We're talking about all that Girls in Action is going to be and what we're going to do.
Yeah, first year at Henry.
Yes. She looked at me and she said, "That's your girl."
Oh, Lord.
And I was like, "What you mean?" That was how Shadoww and I, that was the beginning of a very interesting, very fun relationship. And so Shadoww, you know what, that was, you said you were terrible then, but that was one of the best days of my mentoring journey.
Oh Lord. I apologize about that now. I was terrible, but yeah, it grew to become an extraordinary relationship between us. I was a troubled teen. I can admit that now. I was very troubled, very lost, didn't know my way. And I felt like at first when Girls in Action was introduced to us, I didn't really take it serious because I felt like programs like this, they come and go. People who have been in my life have came and went. Like that's how I felt as a teenager. Like nothing ever stuck, nothing ever stayed, nothing was consistent, nothing was stable. It was just like, okay, they're here now. And as soon as you act a certain way, or as soon as you do something they don't like, then they leave you or they don't want to work with you anymore. And that's how I felt throughout my whole life and getting to high school. I'm like, okay, I was made to come to the program. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Girls in Action wasn't my first thing. I had a mindset of most teenage girls, like, oh, I don't get along with girls. Girls in Action doesn't sound appealing to me. It doesn't, like, it's not interesting. It's a bunch of girls. So it's like, yeah, Girls in Action wasn't my first thing. So I didn't take it seriously. I took it as a joke. So me being in the auditorium, I wasn't listening. I threw a water bottle because it probably was because of something someone said to me. And I walked out mad because it wasn't appealing at the time. It wasn't interesting at the time. And teachers, I had a teacher who made me go. Well, he wasn't really a teacher. Miss Maury was sort of like a behavioral person. So yeah. Right. And from then on, I'm glad I stuck with it.
Well, you said some really key things. And I think that's important as people, people get this brilliant idea of starting a mentoring program, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that you said that's really critical is that, mentoring programs come and go. Mm-hmm. And don't necessarily work with teens, because we're talking about teenagers. Don't mm-hmm. work with teens at the capacity that they need working with.
Right.
And I think about it, and I think about when you go into the inner city and you start a mentoring program, you are in for a lot, and mm-hmm. you better be able to flow with it, because if you're not, think about, when I think about if we had just turned our backs and said, now that one, she can't come back to Girls in Action.
Right.
That we would have been having a whole different conversation right now. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. so a lot of people are afraid of the behaviors. And I, I'm of the belief, at first I was afraid of the behavior because, I believe like most adults, kids need to act a certain way. You need to behave a certain way, mm-hmm. and, yada, yada, yada. But in working with teenagers and working in mentoring programs, I've learned differently. And I'm so glad that I had a forum of Girls in Action to do this learning. So let me pause just for a second and welcome our guests. Hey, Natalie, I'm so glad that you are here.
Thanks, Natalie.
This is another
I miss
Natalie,
you.
but I hope Natalie comes on. Anybody want to tag Natalie Johnson Lee for me? That would be really awesome. Okay, I'm tagging Miss Natalie. I hope she comes on. And hi, Miss Moore. This is Deborah. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. And Felicia is here. Thank you for joining, Felicia. I know you can identify with some of the things that we're saying about working with teens. Deborah, Debbie Cavett, thank you for joining. I think you're overseas in Britain. I'm glad you're here. Bush, you're here. Hey, Joseph, thank you for joining. Hey, Miss Holmes, I hope you're still on this live because you can say some things about mentoring as well. Cassie, I'm glad you're here. So we're talking about how programs pop up and pop out. And when you pop up and pop out, you do more harm than good. Right?
Yes.
And so that's what you were experiencing. You already have had enough transitions going on in your life where, you know, people were inconsistent, people were in and out and not being true to their word. So to have somebody come and make you all these promises and you don't even know, are they going to be here?
Right.
You know, I could understand that behavior because you don't have the words to say, well, I don't think you all are going to be here.
Yeah, I didn't have the words and it was a lot like I didn't know how to express my emotion when I first got into the group. It was a lot of things with the group that the group helped me grow and mature to, but it was like that was the only form of communication I knew at the time. It's like you don't share your feelings, you don't suppress your feelings, and when you're angry, you act out, period. That's how you get attention. So it was like, that was my form of communication, acting out. And it was, and when we first heard about the group, it was introduced at North, and North is a Henry's rival school. So it was like, oh, they're bad, you know, they're bad girls. And that's what the group is for. The group is for troubled girls. So it's like the group is for girls that we think is bad. And at the time, that's what my behavior was labeled as. I was a bad child. I was a bad kid. I did bad things. So it was like, what group can help me? What can this group do for me if I'm already seen as that? You know? So it was like, basically live up to what they call you, live up to your name, you know, live up to the bad behavior. And that's all I knew at the time is, oh, throw a water bottle, get angry, walk out the room, you know, like, let's see what happens next, you know? So
right.
Like,
be what they already think you are.
Yeah. Anyway. Right. Like, give them a run for their money type, like, welcome them in with a bang. See what they are really about, you know? So It was like, yeah.
That is really good stuff. That's really good stuff, Shadoww, because if you already feel like people see you as bad and they tell you you need to go to this group, you know, and you already have this perception that this group is for bad kids, then to you, I would imagine that's reinforcing that they think you're bad or that you are bad.
Yeah. And it was more so of a type of, I had a mindset where I feel like I'm fine just the way I am. No one needs to change me. And you're not going to send me to a group that's going to change me. Like, I'm fine the way I am. I get stuff done. And at the time, I was a troubled kid, but I can honestly say my grades stayed up. I was a troubled kid, but I never let my grades slip in high school. So it was like, I'm showing you one side, but you're asking for something else. And it's like, I'm giving you one thing. Don't try and completely control me on another end. So it was like, yeah, it was, yeah.
It's very complex.
Yeah, very. As a teenage life is very, very complex. Very confusing.
Absolutely. And so we got through that.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
We moved through some stuff and we built a relationship and we kept showing up every week. And we didn't just show up at school.
You didn't. You showed up in life, period. That's what I loved about Girls in Action. Girls in Action wasn't just a school thing. You know, we go to school hours and then no one cares about you afterwards. It was like, you guys stayed on us. Girls in Action showed me my first, like, showed me people can make it out of where I was living. Like, it showed me colleges. I wasn't thinking about going to college before Girls in Action. You guys took us on college trips. Like, we went toward colleges, looked at colleges. It was just the experience for me. Like, oh, okay, you know, there is something beyond high school. There is something beyond the north side of Minneapolis, you know? And it was like, when my grades were slipping, it's like, you guys got report cards just like parents got report cards. You guys got academic reports just like parents got academic reports. You guys stuck on us. It was like study groups. It was like maintain your studies, do this, do that, go to class. It was more so of a second parent type thing.
Right. And we were riding till the wheels fall off.
Yes, we were. Yes.
And Shadoww, I remember, because you were in my group, even though I was the leader at Patrick Henry High School, you were in my group. And I remember the first time I took you on an outing, because we took kids outside of the school building. We introduced different things. And I remember the first time I took you on an outing, and it was to an event. It was a conference at the Northland Inn in Brooklyn Park, or Brooklyn Park. And I remember, I'll never forget your expression when we walked into that hotel. You were like, dang, Miss Ann, oh my
God. that sounds a lot like me. Yes. That sounds like something I would have did.
Yes. And it was like, I think you had a skirt on, and, you know, because we tried to take you all dressed up and everything. And, you know, you were like, okay, I'm going to have to pull it together. I'm in a different space. That was priceless.
Hopefully I tried. Hopefully I did.
Oh yeah, you did. We worked it out. And Joseph said, "This is great. Thank you for being so open." And that is so true, Shadoww. I really appreciate you being open and forthcoming, because I believe that this is going to help not just mentors, but mentees and parents and other people who are important in the lives of teens. So what's one of your most memorable times with us as mentoring?
Oh my goodness, we have so many. We have so many times. Memorable.
Remember the cookie bakes?
I definitely remember those. It was something you did outside of school. Like, we came to your house and we all got together and we all made cookies from scratch. Never baked a day in my life. Never made any cookies a day in my life, but we all made cookies from scratch. And yeah, those were definitely memorable times. But like, yeah, I have a lot with you guys, from working in the office to
that's right,
going on trips. I mean, Dr. Verna did give me my first job. From you taking me to college to you picking me up every year in college, taking me home, bringing me back, making sure I got there. From my process to going.
I wish I could find some of those college pictures. Because...
No, Miss Ann, no.
So Shadoww, before we get to college, I know that the concept of you going to college was something that you weren't really thinking about at first. And then your journey to get into college was
not an easy one.
Was not an easy journey. Can you share, to the level of your comfort, just a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced with going to college?
Going to college, I had my eyes set on a college out of state. And at first, to be honest, I wasn't really thinking about college, but as my senior year approached, you know, that's what Girls in Action helped me with. They were like, oh, you know, you're bright, you're smart, go to college. And I mean, I seen that. I had, leaving high school, I had like a 4.0 GPA, somewhere around there. And leaving there, I had my eyes set, like I said, I had my eyes set on the out of state college. But my mother, she was a strict lady, and she believed in certain rules, and she thought that I could do it all on my own, but no. And I needed stuff from her, couldn't get it. And then basically after that, you took charge and you showed me another way. You showed me another alternative, another route, because I did believe dreams were crushed. I did believe I wasn't going. And I believe I registered at Mankato a week before school started. Actually, I remember that vividly. I started Mankato State University a week before school started. I was enrolled and I had papers ready, and I was an independent student, and we set my dream in motion.
Wow. And, we certainly had a lot of people working behind the scenes, because Miss Natalie Johnson Lee was very instrumental. And the connections that we had at Mankato State with Miss Robbie, and even just going through the process of declaring you independent.
Yes. That was a lot too.
That was a lot. And when I think about your mom, I think about, here is a woman who's raising, these children. And here's a woman.
8 to be exact.
How many?
8.
8 children. She is a hard worker. She's doing all that she know how. And then here comes these people in her child's life saying, you can go leave her. You can leave her and you can go somewhere else to school to get yourself introduced to a different way of life. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't more so my mom. My mom actually, when she realized what we wanted to do with life, she did push us to go to college. But the thing is, I don't think she knew the route to get there. Like, I know my mom, she pushed us. She wanted us to go. She definitely wanted us to go. But it was a learning process for everyone in the process, even her, to navigate us in that direction. Because I don't think she was more so scared of us leaving her. I think she was more so like, this is a learning process for all of us. And I believe my mom is so strict that when she believes something, she believes it. Like, if she believes it's this way, it's this path to get to college, she don't think that there's another path. So it's like, she is strong on what she believes. And it's like, I think it was more so of her learning a different way, because her way didn't work for me.
Right. And that could be really threatening also. That could be really threatening to a parent.
Yeah. Because my mom is definitely set in her ways. Definitely set in her ways.
And so you got to college. I remember our drive down to Mankato.
Whew. A long one. My first trip was a long one.
It was a long one. And I have pictures of you in my van, and you were just reflecting, because as we were driving away from what you knew.
Yes, what I was comfortable with, what I grew to love, what I grew to know, what I was, my comfortability, my comfort zone. I wasn't ready to leave it, but I was ready to leave it. But let's just say it wasn't all good experience. So I definitely was happy that I made the next move, but it was a scary step because I was comfortable where I was. Not saying it was a good comfort, but I definitely did get comfortable, and I definitely didn't see myself being what I am now, you can say.
Wow. That's so amazing. Yeah. And Shadoww, you were so brave through the whole thing. I remember, I think Miss Natalie was with us, and we started off with your wish list. You remember your wish list?
Yes, ma'am.
The other day.
Yes, ma'am. I remember it. Yes, I do.
and oh my gosh! And you got your wish list, but before you left, you had was it a birthday? No, it wasn't a birthday party. It was a going away. We had cake and ice cream, and it was just such a, wow, it was just such an important time for all of us.
Yeah, because I actually got everything on my wish list. Actually, everything that I wished for, Girls in Action made it happen. You guys you guys got me. Even, and it probably was people outside of Girls in Action, but I know everybody who came together, they got me exactly what I needed for my dorm room, as far as eating, as far as just living essentials, period. I got everything. Like, and I needed new everything from bed linen to socks and clothes. Like, you guys definitely made that happen.
I remember, Shadoww, I remember you came to one of my garage sales and got this big old stuffed animal.
Yes, ma'am. I remember it too. And I got stuffed animal slippers there too.
Yes. That was so excited. Yes. This mentoring journey, it's not just for the mentee, it's for the mentors too, because again, I've learned a lot through this process, and I learned how to stick with a person, even though things might not be going the way you plan, how to stick and ride it out. That's something that I learned from being on the journey with you, and going the extra mile. That mentoring was outside of school. We need mentors who are willing to get engaged in people's lives, not just when the school door opens.
And I thank you so much for that. Yes, because you definitely were a big part of my life outside of school. Like, you made sure I got stuff done in school, but it was like, girl, it's time to, like, you hit home so many times, like, girl, it's time to straighten up. Why are you acting like that? Like, I know your mama didn't raise you like that. I know your mother wouldn't approve of you acting like that. So you get around these people and act different. It's like, yeah, you definitely was a second mother to me. Definitely.
And we stopped at a thrift store on our way to drop you off.
One of many. Yes. Yes.
And also, food was also important. We had
food. Yes, it was actually.
Food was really important. So
I remember. Yes.
These are really good tips that I'm sharing with people who think they want to be a mentor. Don't do it for half the time. Don't do it for just during school time. You really have to get engaged and be serious and be consistent. So if you are joining us on the replay, or if you're here live with us, just let us know if you are a mentor or if you had a mentor. Just let us know about that. And if you have any questions for Shadoww, just drop it in the comment line as we continue to talk about mentoring and how she went from one life to another. All right, Shadoww. So we got you at school, got you set up.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't remember if it was me or Miss Natalie. We said, you better not come home.
It was both of y'all.
You better not come home, because you better stay away from the city. Because you have 3 square meals and a roof over your head. Now you decide what you're going to do with this.
You guys told me I better not come home without a degree.
Better not come home without a degree. But, it wasn't always easy, Shadoww. So tell me about some of the challenges that you faced going through.
Okay. Well, freshman year definitely wasn't easy because I'm very family oriented. Like, I'm very family oriented. Like, I love my family, and it's like, I miss them so much. I've missed, like, I really missed them freshman year. So freshman year, even though I didn't have a car, I was making my way to the cities almost every weekend. And that was something that I really didn't need to do, or I shouldn't have done, but I really missed them. I was making my way down there every weekend. College is a fun time. So yes, I was trying to find my way my freshman year, finding out like what I want to do, what I see life, how I see life, joining organizations, just trying to find like my fit in college, which wasn't really. Going to a predominantly white school, it's kind of hard, but yeah, so that's probably why I was close knit to my family, because like a predominantly white school, sometimes you are like the only kid of color in your class. Mm-hmm. So it was like, that was very hard for me freshman year. And it was like, I did do the step team, and I did find a team of girls who were we did have a team of girls who were of color, you know, of all ethnicities, of all background, but we were shades of brown and black. Yes, but that wasn't quite enough for me. It was like nobody I could talk to. So freshman year, I did run home a lot, and my grades were slipping. And, but freshman year, I was also lost, and I was also like blaming the world for my problems. I was also like every time I had a problem, it was because of somebody else. It wasn't because of me. It was always because, you know, the life I was handed, or how I was set up, or how I got to college. It was never like, oh, take responsibility for yourself. It was like, oh no, it's been hard up to this point. It's still hard, you know, and it's making like certain people are making my life hard. And it's like, but sophomore year, I got through that. But after sophomore year, I did get on academic probation, which means that my grades slipped, or my GPA slipped under a 2.0. And I was dropping out of classes. I didn't complete my classes. But that's because, like I said, I was lost. I never like found a stable place in Mankato. Like I was in the dorm room. I mean, I did have a best friend. I did meet a girl. I could talk to her, but that wasn't quite enough for me. Like, I don't know. By junior year, I found my way. And then by junior year, I got pregnant with my first child. So I really had to drop out. I stayed out of college a year, but like during that year, it was like, you need this. It was my year to reflect, actually. My junior year was actually my year to reflect and to think like, you know, what do you want out of life? Where do you see yourself? What is going on? Like, it was my time to actually talk to people. And I mean, my family during this time, during my junior year, after my first child, like even before my family was engaged, but later on after my junior year, I really started talking to my family. I really started engaging in my family. Because like I said earlier, like we weren't raised to like really express emotions. And it's like, that's something that I had to find. And that's something that I had to find to do. So it's like, I really started talking to my family. They really started becoming a huge support. Not saying that they weren't a support before, but like they were a huge support now. Like I had everybody rooting for me. I had all eyes on me. So it's like, you have to finish. You have to push forward. You have so many people looking at you. You have so many people depending on you, counting on you. And I remember a lot where it was Pan-African, and Dr. Verna, and Pan-African is where we have a week to highlight our African ancestors and our culture and the Black culture, and learn basically about like our ancestors and our Black culture in college. That's Pan-African Week. So I remember a lot of inspirational African-American leaders coming up there talking, giving just perspectives and point of views. Like, you guys, like the African-American population in Mankato, you get up here and then you play and you joke around, and, you know, this is money, this is time spent here. So it's like, you got to tighten up. Like, where do you see yourself? The African-American population is not graduating at a successful rate here. Like, what is going on? What's the problem? And I remember listening to a lot of that stuff. I remember listening to the heritage. I remember listening to like how Black people got to come together, how we got to unite, and how we have to actually succeed in life. And I remember Dr. Verna coming down there, and once she see me, it was, we actually sat down, we talked, and it was not a great talk. And she was like, Shadoww, like, what are you doing? Like, you've been here for about 3-4 years now. Like, why don't you have a degree? And it's like, I really had to sit back and evaluate my life. And after that year and a half, it was just like push. And I pushed through it. It's hard, but what I can say for college is, once your grades and once your GPA gets to a certain level, it's hard to come back from that. So you have to stick with it, and you have to go for it. Cause it's like, I was at a 3.2 and my GPA after a semester dropped down to almost under a 2.0, and then it dropped under a 2.0, and it was hard to pick it back up, but I worked through it, and I pushed through it and got it done.
Shadoww, that is so incredible. For you to, we could call you the comeback kid.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Because you did. I want to go back to a little part there. There was a time, and I think it was during your junior year, where you kind of just disappeared. I call it, you took a dip.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't reach out or reach back, or, stuff like that. I remember posting on Facebook, have you seen her? Anybody seen her?
Yeah.
And tell me what was going on, because I think I have an idea, but share with our audience what was going on, because here you have this key, support group, support system in place, but it was hard to connect during that time.
Well, for me, when I took that dip off, it was mainly because I was embarrassed. I was, we and my family don't like to use depression a lot, but that's probably what I was going through. But I don't see myself as going through that, because I was never medicated. I never, for me, Miss Ann, I like to deal with things on my own. Right. And so it's like, I don't really, it's hard for me to ask for things. It's hard for me to ask for a hand up. It's like, when I'm down to my lowest point, it's like, I have to figure it out. I have to figure out something for myself. I have to put something in place. And it's like, when I disappeared, it was just more so me trying to figure things out, and more so me being embarrassed to where I set myself to do something. A lot of people were counting on me. A lot of my support system was rooting for me. They set a plan in place, and I deviated from that plan. It was like, I felt like I had to stick to the plan. And now knowing now, like, everybody defers from a plan. It's like, now knowing everybody has told me, like, okay, everybody takes different routes to get there, as long as you get there. And it's like, it's not a set plan. Yeah, you set your plans in place, but life happens. And I just couldn't, at the time, I couldn't take that. Like, I couldn't face the fact that life had hit me, and real life actually happened to me. And it was more so of, now that real life has happened to me, and now that I have had this child, and now that I'm embarrassed now, like, I can't face a lot of people, because this was not in the plans for me. This was a child at this age was not, and it's not even like I was a teen parent or anything. I had my first child at 23, but it was like I deviated from the plan. So I was more so embarrassed to face people, like, oh my goodness, now I have a child to take care of. I'm still learning how to live life myself. And now I have this baby to focus on. And what are people going to think about me? What are people going to say about me? What is my support system going to say about me now that I have failed? That's how I felt at the time. Like, I had failed at life. Like, because I did push forward, and I had the drive to push forward, but there were so many days to where I didn't know what I was going to do. There were so many days to where I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I couldn't see. If you would have asked me that in my junior year, around that time that I fell off, if you would have asked me, like, Shadoww, do you see yourself graduating? Or Shadoww, where do you see life? I probably couldn't answer that. I couldn't tell anybody anything. I was lost. Like, I was completely devastated. I was thrown off of life. And what I can honestly say is, I felt like having a child, I would have to stop everything, because those are the stories that I've heard. Like, oh, now that a child has come in here, you have to put your dreams on hold, and you have to focus on this child. Now that a child it's hard to do X, Y, and Z with a child. It's hard to take classes, go to school, have a full-time job, and take care of a child. Like, you have to put all your energy into this child now. Like, there's no other way, So it was like, I had to figure that out for myself. I had to say, well, look, what are you going to do? And it's like, you have to have a full-time job. You have to take care of a child now, but you also have to graduate college. Like, now you have a child looking up to you. And my first child was a girl, and I have a beautiful baby girl named Shania. And it was like, she's looking up to you now. And it's like, everybody's like, okay, set a path for her. And I'm like, what does that path look like for her? And I had to find that path for me and for my baby.
Wow. Thank you, Shadoww, for being so open about that. Let me welcome some of our guests. Wayne, I'm so glad you're here. Chrissy, I'm so glad you're here. And thank you for your comment, Chrissy. Chrissy says, great, authentic conversation, Shadoww. And that is so true. Sis Kimball, I'm glad you're here. And Zena, I'm glad you're here. Rhonda, thank you for joining. And Sis Sandy, thank you for joining. You all dropped some comments in here. Give Shadoww some love because she is sharing from her heart, and this has been such a ride for her, and she's triumphing. And so Shadoww, you talked about this in times when you were so down and you didn't know what to do or what was happening, and I could tell you, as mentors in your life, it wasn't easy watching some of this happening. Yes, and so it's like, even allowing you that space and not being overbearing and things like that. It's like, you know, it was always a question for me, at least, is like, how much do you do? How much do you say? How much, you know, how much do you really impose yourself? You know, and so even I know that different people reached out at different times just to say, hey, Shadoww, you know, we love you, we care about you. But I understand that was your own journey and you had to find your own way. And I think society has done us a disservice in a lot of ways, where we think that we have to make it on our own, or we have to do it by ourselves. And learning how to ask for help is it's a hard thing for us to do. It really is hard, especially when that's compounded with shame and guilt. That becomes really, really hard. One of the things that I do know, that if somebody loves you, you know, they love you when you're up and they love you when you're down.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, this, I bet that was a hard time for you, like you've expressed, and hopefully, if you happen to go through some difficult times again, that you know, maximize your resources and don't feel like you have to do it alone. There's this myth of the strong Black woman. You have to figure it out and all of that. That is killing us. That is killing us, because it's been passed down from generation to generation, where we've had to do this, we have to do that. But I think learning and even teaching Shania how to ask for help and be there to help her, and for people being there in your life to show up and help you, will start sending a different message to the younger generation, that you don't have to do it alone.
Right. And I don't think the strong Black woman thing is a myth. I just believe that there is a time and place to be strong. There is a time where you can be strong, but there is a time where you can be vulnerable and ask for help. And that's something that I have to learn to do. It's not saying that I've learned it yet,
right?
But I'm still learning how to be that woman, to be strong in certain areas, but also don't feel bad for asking for help, or don't feel ashamed for asking for help, because sometimes a person needs help, whether it's emotionally, physically, you know, financially. Sometimes people just need help, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I have to learn, that there's nothing wrong with needing help.
That is so true.
I can't do everything on my own.
Okay, so you got back in, though. You got it together, and you got it together.
I got it together, and
then what?
I got it together. I got all the toxins out of my life. Got back in school and thought it would just be a piece of cake. It wasn't. It was a roller coaster. Like I said, once those grades were down, once that GPA was down, it was fight to the death to get them back up. It was blood, sweat, and tears to get that GPA back up. And it was like, you have to go. And plus I have a newborn, and not to say my newborn was premature. So it was like, I have a newborn. I have to focus on her. She has to eat. So I have to have a job. And also, I'm trying to be a full-time student. I wasn't trying to be a part-time student. I was trying to get done with college as fast and as soon as possible. So I jumped back in becoming a full-time student thinking I can handle it all. No, I couldn't. I failed again. I came to an obstacle in the road again, and I had to sit out again because my grades weren't proving anything. They weren't showing anything, but it was a lot on my plate at the time.
Right.
And I was just like, no, I can do it. I can push for it. I can do it. No. So we had to slow down. We had to give me 2 classes. And the thing is that I did push forward and I did do it, but I was so close. And it was like, every time I was so close, it was knocking me back. Like my major classes, I probably had 3 classes to do in there. And then I had a class in my minor. So it was like, keep going. Do I keep going as a full-time student, or do I take a step back and go as a part-time student and work? And what was hard for me is it was like, oh, you're so close. So get it done as fast as possible because you're so close. And everybody around me, like my best friends, they were graduating, they were prospering in life, they were succeeding. It was like, I felt like I was stuck in this same place. Like, you're not going anywhere. And my best friends always tell me, like, never compare your life to somebody else's. You know, it's your journey. It's not, they have their journey, you have your journey. And it was like, my best friend always told me, like, I have my journey, you have yours, but get it done. And it was like, yeah, but I never seen myself going anywhere. So I'm failing out of classes. I hit another bump in the road where I had to sit out. And when I came back, it was like, no, Shadoww, no more sitting out, no more none of this, fight. And I can remember it was last year when I was first getting back into college. Dr. Verna came down to do a talk. She came down to do a conference with the school. Brianna Williamson invited her, and she seen me and she was like, girl, like, what does it take for you to get done? Like, what is it going to take for you to finish this? And I'm just like, I just couldn't answer her. I was still embarrassed. Like, it was so long. This is such a long journey. I was still embarrassed. And then by this time I had my second child, and I was like, I was pregnant with my second child. I'm like, I'm not going through what I went through with my first child. If I have the second child without a degree, I'm giving up. Like, life is not what I thought it would be. College is not for me. College is not what I thought it would be. But my second child, actually, I could say my son actually helped me push through. Like, don't give up. Like, I spent my late nights, and like in college, I never really was a late night person, but my last semester with my 2 classes, and then it helped because all I had was 2 classes to finish. And then the next semester I had 1 class to finish. So that really helped me a lot, to where I was so close to where I had minimal classes and it was doable. So being pregnant, again, I was pushing, I was late nights. This time I was determined not to fail. And it was like, no, you have to see something through. So by my second child, I can say he helped me to get across that stage. I had him and I was like, yes, I'm getting a diploma. And that's what I did. I got my degree. I graduated.
Wow. When was he born?
My son was born September 7th of 2017.
Wow. And when did you walk across the stage?
I walked across the stage December 9th, 2017.
Wow. Remarkable. That is so remarkable, Shadoww. And, like you said, it might not have been the journey that you planned, but there are no accidents. And I don't believe in coincidence either. Right. And so the fact that you were able to push through and still heard the voices of your mentors in your head, saying, you can do this, you can do this. That is so amazing. And I just say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now what does life hold for Shadoww? Shadoww Rolan BS psychology.
Life right now. Actually, I'm going back to school in the fall to get my master's.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, but I'm slowing down. This I'll have I'm going to get a I'm still waiting on it, but hopefully I get a grad assistantship meaning that I work for the school, and my classes will be free at that point, and I will go take my master's for free if God is willing. Please, praise the Lord, amen.
Amen.
I will get my master's for free coming up in the fall. Hopefully, we're working on it. I'm just saying it's a working process. If it's not the fall, then it will be. I mean, if it's not the spring, this coming up spring, then it will be the fall. I'm working to get into my master's program in the spring, but if it's not this spring, it's going to be the upcoming fall.
That is so amazing, Shadoww. That is so amazing. I am so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying to make
girl, you are doing that thing.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying.
You are doing it. Yes, and you will do it because you're that kind of person. You put your mind to it, you will do it. You are doing it. Mm-hmm. So I want you to, as we come to an end, again, this is Ann Dillard with Teen Talk Live, where we share strategies and skills that transform the minds and lives of teens and those who serve them. And I'm so glad for our guests who are here and those who might be on the replay. If you all have any questions for Shadoww, just drop it in the comments, or some encouragement, just drop it in the comments. We are so excited about this, Shadoww, because coming from where you've come from, having a bachelor's degree is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's nothing short of a miracle.
Right,
because you know, it's not just about you. I know that you have younger siblings and older siblings who are watching your steps. So this is like rewriting the narrative for your family as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, I'm sure you've inspired your sisters, and that is so amazing.
That's what they've told me. Yes, that's what I've heard.
Well, if they said it, it's true. Even if they didn't say it, it's still true.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
so,
ma'am.
So for the I want you to talk to 3 different people. I want you to talk to the teenager who might have been in your shoe. Then I want you to talk to the mentor who is struggling with, you know, connecting or sticking to the mentorship. And I want you to talk to that parent who's struggling with having a mentor in his or her child's life.
Okay. Well, for the girl who may be in my shoes, in my teenage shoes, life gets easier. You just have to slow down, find yourself. Everything's not all bad. You do have people. You just have to find those people in your life who care about you and who are willing to stick with you. Everything will come to terms in life, you know, like, and for the mentor, stick with that child. You know, that child is going through something. Like for me, I did have abandonment issues. I can admit that now. Like, I acted out because there was nobody who stayed. There's nobody who was stable. It was a lot of people who said a lot of things, and it would only last for a little while, and it was never stable. Nobody outside of my family, at least, was stable. So I didn't trust too many outside of my family. So to the mentor of that girl, you just have to earn her trust. You have to find her trust. Like, you have to just stick with her through her bad times, through her ups, through her downs, through her difficulties. Her behavior might be too much to handle, but I'm sure if you stick with her, you guys will build a bond that nobody can break. Nobody.
I know that
the love will be strong. And for that parent, just be open-minded. Like, no one's trying to come in and take your place. That mentor is not trying to take your place. He's more so trying to help your child with you, not go against you, not try and do something to take your place, like I said, and not trying to overstep their boundaries. They're just trying to be an equal partnership with you to see your child grow. Like, in the end, everybody wants to see your child grow. Everybody wants to see your child make it a step further than what you made it. So, and I'm pretty sure the parent wants to see that too. So just work with the mentor. Don't try and think it's combative. Don't try and think it's a competition. Don't try and compare. Some stuff the mentor knows and some stuff you know, but be confident in that foundation that you've given your child. Be confident in how you raised your child, and know that you have guided your child, and let somebody else help guide your child as well. Because for me, my guidance was not so great. It wasn't so sure. And I mean, I was acting out from that, and it took another person to step in my life to make me see certain things that my mother couldn't make me see, because me and my mother, we didn't always get along. So it was helpful for that third party to come in and make me see my mother's perspective. Sometimes it was sometimes to where, yeah, girl, you are acting out and your mama is right. Like, take your mom's advice. Like, she is right, and listen to her. And it took for another person to step in and tell me that. And that's basically what your mentor is doing. They're always on your sides, parents. Like, they're always rooting for you. They're never telling your kids anything to defer from what you have told them. They're more so reiterating and making sure your child gets it. So parents, just stick with the mentor, work with the mentor. That's all.
Wow, girl, you have preached. That is good stuff. That is good stuff, Shadoww. And man, the wisdom that you have brought to this conversation, and it's just amazing, from the freshman who threw that bottle across that gym or that auditorium, to this amazing, maturing young woman who's a mother of two.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. And we have a few comments here we're going to read. Joseph says, Shadoww, I'm so proud of you. Your experience and your story will definitely benefit others. Your journey has not been in vain. Congratulations, and keep up the good work. And
thank you.
Good conversation. And Saber said, great response about the parent-mentor relationship. The key to supporting the teen. That is so amazing. And Chrissy says, great advice, Shadoww. Great advice. And so I'm just so happy. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Yes, you definitely had a hand in all of this.
I'm so happy to see where you are. I'm so happy that you are being that excellent mother to your children. And I'm so happy that you are, you're creating a great life for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's not easy, and I'm still creating it.
That's right. And we all are, Shadoww. We are always creating. So, we are always a work in progress.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being so candid and sharing your story. Now I'm going to challenge you.
Yes, ma'am.
As any good mentor would.
Yes.
We'll leave you with a challenge, like we're at a cookie bake or something. I'm going to challenge you to write it down. Write your story. Somebody needs to hear this.
Yes, ma'am. I've been told that before. It's
because I know, it's
kind of
having the front seat to some of the back parts of the story. I think you have the tools, you have the story, you have the insight to really bless some lives. So
thank you very much.
Tell your story, girl. All right.
Yes,
well, thank you for being here, Shadoww. Somebody giving you lots of love. Thank you all so much for joining us. And if you're on the replay, let us know. Leave questions. Shadoww will come back to this video from time to time to answer questions. If you have questions for her, send her some love. And again, everyone, this has been Ann Dillard with Teen Talk Live, where we share skills and strategies to transform the minds and lives of teens and those who love them. Thank you for being here with us, and have a great night.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye. Love you, I love you too.